Dom is turning babyface like Triple H says, but Dom ain't turning babyface. He still gets his heat. Yeah, Peel still can get cheered from time to time, but he's not. He and Liv can help him get there, but I think at most Dom is going to be a tweener. He's not going to be a face, at least not at this point. Prince Robert, Carmento, my safe space camera. I don't know what that means, but this is a safe space. Galaxy to Rise says, don't worry, it was just a stupid moment for Dominic to get a riptide. That's all it was. It was just a moment so Dom could get into position to get kicked in the balls and get a riptide. That's all that was. Endo says Dom deserves better. Triple H doesn't deserve him. He doesn't deserve somebody that generates that amount of heat and views. Remember how I talked a couple of weeks ago how Dom and Liv on their own generated a Instagram or a TikTok that had millions of views just by them watching the Judgment Day winning the tag titles? It was just them on their own. I want to see if Rhea generates the views, because Tiffany generated a lot of views with her win. I want to see if Rhea gets the same amount of views. I'll be curious to see if she's close to what Tiffany got. Kayla says Michael and Cole and Pat piss me off about what they see shit about Dom. At least when Corey is there, or if Wade Barrett is there, they kind of balance it out. I kind of hate how when you get those two commentators, they just constantly shit on Dom. Michael Cole's almost taking it personally. At least like Corey get in there to balance out when he was on the booth at SummerSlam, he balanced out what Pat and Cole was saying, and it was better. But here you got Michael Cole and Pat McAfee just shitting on Dom. It's almost a vendetta at this point. Prince Robot says they made Liz reign about Rhea, and Rhea still had no accountability. She still didn't say, I'm sorry, I fucked up, I did this, I did that. Bayley at least did that. And Bianca still don't fuck with her. But Rhea, that just gets swept under the rug. And it's like with Drew. Drew is a justified heel because he doesn't forget what the bloodline did to him. But at least he's allowed to show that history. It's not like they're cleaning up all of Bloodline's history so Roman Reigns and the Bloodline can look good. It's just glaring how differently treated Rhea is compared to everybody else. Even the guys. If Roman Reigns can sit over here and take a hit with his history, Rhea should have been able to take the same kind of hit. Bricola says, I'm convinced they're using Dom for his popularity, Liv to do media for the company to push Rhea. It just seems like they just use Liv and Dom. I'm putting Liv in this too because she got used. They're just using him just for Rhea's benefit. It was Liv doing all these media blitzes. It was Dom that was generating all this heat and interest with the storyline. Rhea comes back in, and then everything just goes to shit. Travis says, crash out. Yep. And they keep humiliating our boy Don. Yeah, I don't get the humiliation point. Y'all just did a humiliation conga line on Dom, Liv, and Raquel. It was just humiliating. They did not deserve to be humiliated like that. I don't care what anybody says. That's humiliation. And Dom still can't hit a girl. If the sponsor has it there where guys can't hit the girls, then the girls should not be hitting the guys. I'm sorry. They shouldn't be doing that. Rhea should not get a benefit from hitting a guy. Especially when said guy barely did anything to her. She did a lot to him, but he barely did anything to her. It's a disproportionate retribution on Rhea's side to Dom. Nicola says, one thing is if Liv lose the battle, but the way they did this showed their bias. Yeah, I mean, it's the way everything was set up. It really showed the bias and the favorable booking for Rhea. At least try to cover it up. I know bookers are always going to have their favorites, but you could at least cover it up a little bit. I saw some discourse where people were saying, I knew Rhea was going to win, but I don't like that ending. It's that kind of thing. If you're going to have Rhea win, fine. But you can do certain things like Dom shouldn't have been riptide. Rhea shouldn't be kicking out of all the stuff and looking nigh invincible. There's ways you can book it where Liv doesn't look humiliated and Dom wasn't humiliated. Jeff says, do you think LivDom is over? No. Jerry says, Rhea has no one to wrestle. What is the point of her winning the title for? She doesn't. People are going to say, well, EO, that's a face versus face. You really want a face versus face feud when both EO's reign and Rhea's reign were dog shit? How is EO going to carry a feud with Rhea with her limited English? Is she a good wrestler? Yes. I love EO. But feud-wise, you're going into WrestleMania. You need a story. How can EO carry a story with Rhea? What can she do? I'm the best. We're going to go in there and we're going to show how it's the best. We already had that with Becky, and that was already crappy. And see, like I said, keep saying, they had Dom to bounce off of with Rhea and Becky. Who are they going to bounce off of between Rhea and EO? And do you really think EO is going to win? Gavin says Dom character is shot, he puts everyone over. Yeah, like, come on. Let the man get a win. Let the man build his wins up. Get a title. Something. Sherry says Dom needs to crash out, and for real, and Raquel too. They all need to crash out. Liv, Dom, and Raquel. Just do something. Let them crash out. Let them show some emotion. Do something. They need that. I don't want to see them sad in the clubhouse next week. I don't want to see Finn being like, I told you so, and then they do nothing for a whole entire another week. They need to do something next week. Prince Robot says we need Triple H to book better from La Familia. I just need them away from Rhea. Gavin says making Dom look bad for Rhea's benefit. Yep. Why was Dom betrayed by Rhea? Dom was given an ultimatum after he lost the first North American title when Damien's ass should have been there to help. But Damien flipped it around on Dom. See, that's why I keep calling Damien a bro code violator. He threw Dom under the bus to save his own skin, and then Rhea turned on Dom instead of getting after Damien. That's the betrayal. And if anybody was online during the time, people had a fit. I think really thought it was going to be like a girl power moment for Rhea, but it ended up they ended up having to backtrack that real hard. Because at that particular moment, Dom had not done anything to Rhea. It's not like he was like going around and like not paying attention with his title. He was, he's putting in the work and defending his title. And then people were getting on Damien because Damien should have been there and he wasn't. So you had Damien that let Dom down, who's supposedly his brother. And then you had Rhea that's supposedly his girlfriend, taking Damien's side instead of Dom's side. That was like that first betrayal. And a lot of people, including myself, never really forgave Rhea or Damien for that because Dom didn't really do anything to Rhea or Damien. That's why I keep saying that Dom has not done nearly as much stuff to Rhea like Rhea has done to Dom. Same thing with Damien. Damien was treating Dom filthy too. Rhea wouldn't even let Dom try to go back after Ray. Had to ask for permission and everything. Rhea was putting Dom into matches that he didn't want to do. But that gets swept under the rug and just so that she was being manipulated for Edge. Okay, so how long was Rhea being manipulated by Edge? They kick Edge out. At some point, the manipulation stops. Prince Robot says, all we can do is really change the program as Rhea on. They're not going to change Rhea's OP status. I said, that's why I was saying I want Rhea to, like, ship to SmackDown. Do something. Prince Robot says all the faces pretty much won. And that's not necessary. Not all the faces need to win. I remember there was a time where a lot of heels would win. But this is, like, going overboard. The faces for this one should have won all of them. Like, I think Drew should have at least won his, but he didn't. Ricola says it turned off Netflix once the match was over. Yep. Prince Robot says whoop that trick is better than yeet. It's a lot. I think whoop that trick is a lot more organic because that came from the crowd. Yeet was something that Jay came up when he was drunk. 97 said, honestly, the feud with Lita and Trish was great, though they thought they would do something similar. They really should have followed Lita and Trish. Lita and Trish had a really good back and forth feud over the years. And then they would come back together as friends and allies from time to time. If they followed that model, that would have been good. You could believe that they hate each other, but then they were best of friends. That's the model they should have went with. Kendall says all the heels got buried. Yeah, like with Drew, I think he could recover, but I still don't even see what the point Drew losing there, and then with CM Punk and Seth might have got injured there because he was kind of bleeding. So maybe they had to call audible on that. But still, it's like this Raw was mid. We didn't get no surprises, um, no backstage stuff. I was expecting like some background shenanigans. I was expecting some, just some other stuff. This just felt really flat. Christina says, "I'm so mad WWE made the lose. Liv dropped the belt to Rhea." Yep, we all are. Prince Robot says, "Yeah, trash that all the faces won. The heels got buried badly." Yeah. Cherie says, "People are going to realize that Rhea is going to be boring again. Who is she going to face? What can she do? Who is she facing? Like, I need her. She needs to be a fighting champion. She can't sit up there on her ass and not do anything and then let everybody else fight for the golden opportunity to fight her. It shouldn't be like that. I need her to be doing some. They're not going to have live events that much now, but I needed to see her in some live events. I needed to see her be doing some media blitzes. I need to be seeing her put in some work. Because right now, she hasn't been doing any of that at all. I need her to start putting in some work. If Liv can be doing all this work and Dom can be doing all this work, I need to see Rhea do this work." Drapa says probably brother with Logan down the road. Logan's been wanting that for years, and I want Logan to stay his ass away from Dom. He's just a bad human being. I don't care if he can wrestle good. I don't want that for Dom. Liv M and Dominic M fan says Liv and Dom will both win the Women's Royal Rumble and the Men's Royal Rumble. I don't know. They got Cena in that. And Liv could possibly win the women, but I don't know. Cherie says Rhea's going to lose that title to someone else. But who? Io? I don't really think Io's going to win that. My prediction, Cherie says my prediction, well, no. User says my prediction Rhea's going to lose that title at Backlash. For Rhea, I don't really believe she is. Travis says Factory Facts glorified house show. That's what it felt like. Just raw. User says, "How are they twins? They're like 20 years apart." I think Dom said something like that. Travis says JD should break up. At this point, they might as well. User says, "Ain't Becky resigned?" She's in the next fix promo. I'm surprised she didn't show up. Prince Robot says, "And they suffer no accountability together." The territory gym. User says Triple H should make a rematch for the women's title. Now watch how Liv ain't gonna get like any kind of rematch. Rhea's was able to do all kinds of rematches, but Liv probably won't be able to. They're gonna be like, "Oh well, you just lost the title, so that's that. You gotta go into the Royal Rumble." Watch. MT says, "Is LivDom over?" No. P says horrible booking for both Liv and Dom. Yep. Prince Robot, she has a losing panda carrier. Her fans are not a lot of wrestling fans, and I'm not gonna gatekeep on that. But there's a clear difference what kind of fans Rhea has and then compared to everybody else, because a lot of them don't really know how the wrestling goes sometimes. HP says, "Just humiliated Dom for a riptide spot." Yep, that's all it was. It was just for a spot. It was humiliation just for a riptide spot. You said, "Do you want to see Rhea versus Dom at the Royal Rumble?" No. What else could Dom do? Is he going to be able to put his hand on a woman? Is he going to win? All that is just going to be Rhea kicking his ass and then getting pinned, and then he's going to be like Mark Merrow, if anybody remembers him. No, I do not want a Rhea and Dom match at all. HP says for cheap pops. Prince Robot says the cheap pop to ride. Yep. And then he says that the cheap pop to Riptide Dom was horrible for actual wrestling fans. I mean, that just buried Dom pretty much. I don't like using buried. Believe me. But that was clearly almost a burial right there. That's just burying Dom's credibility. He just says Rhea should apologize. No, she's not. Prince Robot said, "I wish Tiffany could have waited today to cash in." For real. If he wanted to do like Tiffany cash in on Rhea, that would have been funny. I could at least tolerated that. Ricola said they just pushed Dom all the way down after the night. Yeah, I mean, he just went straight to the bottom. Or damn near. Everybody else could at least get some kind of wins. Dom, he just got riptide. And it says, "I am mostly angry at how they're making Dom look like a complete joke." That's what it is. There's no reason for him to take a riptide. He's already gotten beaten up. Why do you need to give him a riptide on top of that? And then poorly worked at that to get him into position for a riptide. Ricola says, "Rhea Hooker is going to be a champ for 3 years, clock it." I wouldn't be surprised. Liv Dom for Life says, "If this doesn't lead to a wonderful feud between Dom and Finn, then this was all for nothing." Yeah, I mean, what else is there for it? It seems like Liv losing the title was just to feed into maybe whatever Damian, Finn, and Dom are doing. But do you think Dom will be able to recover to do some kind of Dom Liv Finn feud? Like, what can Dom, Finn can gloat all the while. Unless we just finally get Dom crashing out and kicking Finn out, which I hope what happens. That's the only way I can see that the storyline going. Kendall says Dom is going to have to wait even longer to get a push. People are really hoping that at least around Royal Rumble, going to Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania, that he at least be sniffing a title, but it doesn't even seem like he's even at that point yet. ETX says, do you think Liv will win the Women's World title at WrestleMania? I don't know. I'm kind of checked out at this point. She can win the Royal Rumble, but maybe she can challenge Tiffany or something like that. I just want her away from Rhea. I don't want Rhea to be able to use Liv to keep propping herself up. Rhea needs to earn some of this stuff on her own and interest on her own. Let her deal with Pure Fusion Collective and see if her pops still stay the same after that. HP says hopefully maybe give LivDom a title run. Hopefully. HP says Intercontinental title run for Liv and Dom. I don't know. They might, but I think it'd be too soon to pull it off of whoever wins this Intercontinental title next week, but who knows. User says, Dom Lee Judgment, he can reunite with LWLJ. Ray said he'd love to reunite with his son. Ray needs to do some digging first before he reunites with Dom. He keeps calling Dom out on stuff. So, no, I don't want Dom just to go crawling back to Ray. I'd rather Dom be off TV at that point. No, Ray needs to come halfway with some of the forgiveness because he did some shitty stuff to Dom. One of the reasons why Dom turned is because he took Dom for granted and replaced Dom with Edge at Clash at the Castle 2022. And he never took Dom's side on anything. This can go all the way back to the pandemic era when Dom was fighting Seth and Buddy Matthews. Dom was always the one that had to push his feelings aside for Ray. So that had been at least brewing for 2 or 3 years prior to the castle. So any kind of forgiveness, Ray needs to meet Dom halfway on that. I don't want Dom just to be the one to initiate the one that forgives Ray and then Ray doesn't do nothing. This is kind of almost like another Rhea situation where Dom has to do the work and nobody else does. Come halfway with Dom here. Sweet heat poetry. People be switching up so quick like he's done it before. I'm not understanding that. Elizabeth says, I think Liv can win the title again. She might. Sweetheart poetry, just to have both of her title reigns be about somebody else. Yeah, that's the bad thing about Liv's reign. Her first one was about Ronda, and then this one was about Rhea. At least have some other people to fight. Give her, she could have had more people to fight and more storylines with other people. She didn't need to be locked into one person. MT says, is Judgment Day flying Wyatt 6? I hope the fuck not. Bar none. I don't want that feud. That doesn't do anybody. What is Wyatt 6 going to do for the Judgment Day? They're barely on TV now. What is it, 2-3 weeks now that they've been off the air? Like, what can Judgment Day do? Are we just going to be running around seeing Wyatt 6 scare them 50% of the time? And then Dom and Liv have to pull their weight to get them over? I don't want to see Dom and Liv trying to get the Wyatt 6 over and get a storyline over. If it's Judgment Day, that needs to be Finn, JD, and Carlito. Leave Liv, Dom, and Raquel out of it. And have the Undertaker come and pick her up. The blatant favoritism. You really had Undertaker pick her up? Really? All the people here, you're going to have Undertaker pick up Rhea. Did she really need the Undertaker sign off? Did she really? They're trying too hard. Think of the rub the Undertaker could have gave. When the Undertaker gave the rub to... Who was that? Carmelo? That was earned. Carmelo is really good. And Undertaker gave him that rub. But did Rhea Ripley really need a rub from the Undertaker? Truly? There's a whole bunch of other women I could think that could do better with a rub from the Undertaker. Alex says the retelling of Rhea's story is too much. There's too much retcon. There's too much rewriting, and I'd rather them just not say it than them trying to rewrite it like that. Ricola says Rhea Hunter for now. There's no point for the storyline with her. Yep. LivDom FP says, what's the point of making Rhea win? There was no point. Sweetheart Poetry says, Rhea's winning did not make any sense. No, it didn't, because the storyline is not there. Because she has no storyline. None. She's going to be sitting around doing nothing until Royal Rumble, bet. And then she's going to be sitting there at the Royal Rumble in a box somewhere where everybody else has to do all the work. Anna said, they really said, thank you, Liv, for doing all the legwork. Now you can have the title now, Rhea. That's all it feels like. It feels like Liv and Dom did all that legwork and all that media blitz only for them just to hand it over to Rhea after she's done jack shit. Do you see Rhea's picture anywhere on Netflix at all? All those advertisements? Like, online, we saw, like, those big, tall advertisements of, like, Liv and Dom, and, like, I saw, like, Rhea and Bianca. We saw all those pictures. So they did all that, but you don't see any of Rhea's stuff. So they did all of that just for the title to be handed back over to Rhea. All that. We had really cute stuff of Rhea, had a really cute stuff of Dom, and then Rhea's stuff is just like, where is it? Are they going to start recording something now? And I still can't get an icon for Dom on Netflix. Don and For Life said the storyline did drop after SummerSlam. They should have had Raquel come back first and Dom betray at Bad Blood. I don't think they could have held off Dom that long because it had already dragged off since April. But they should have did Raquel's return a lot better. And then Raquel should not have been treated like a joke. They've treated Raquel like a joke. Last year, Raquel was tossing around Rhea. Now this year, she couldn't do anything. It just makes Raquel look horrible. And I feel so badly for her for that. When she comes back, she could have been a really cool, big mommy cool bodyguard for Liv. But she wasn't even afforded the booking to become a really good bodyguard. Like, Shawn Michaels and Diesel wouldn't have been as it was if Diesel wasn't booked properly. If anybody remembers that. It should have been giving Raquel the booking where she could have been fighting off Rhea, but they never did do that for Raquel. So she looks like an idiot, and then now everybody wants to separate her from Liv because she was such an ineffective bodyguard. You see how that's fucked up? They made Raquel so ineffective that they want to separate, that Raquel couldn't even get a good advantage to be with Liv. And then they want to blame Raquel for not giving a lot of LivDom moments. So the booking is all fucked up. Ricola said they used Dom for pops, Liv for media, doing all that legwork to be pushed to the side for like this. Yep. And then MT said she kicked Dom red card. She really did. I still think Rhea, this is my own personal opinion, but I really think that Rhea didn't really like Dom being separated from her because of what's going to happen. But she couldn't. But Dom was not going to be able to stay in this pet subservient role for long. You couldn't. That's just going to harm his career. It's harming his career now, but at least he's able. There's more of a chance for him to be breaking out with Liv than it would have been with Rhea. And at this particular moment, I'm glad he's with Liv because at least it looks equal compared to what it was. ZZ Rose, if you looked at Shawn's NXT booking for Dominic, he was so much clever and he was booked better. He really was. He looked really good in NXT. I need that Dom back. Dom was having a really good matches with Dragon Lee, Nathan Frazier, Carmelo, Ilya. There was a lot of other, and then Wesley. And then Mustafa Ali before he got released. So he was having some really good matches and things in NXT, and now that he's back under Triple H's control, it's all with the shit. See, 9 Lavick says, "Nicole, please focus on the talent in the ring and run the play-by-play." Yep. 97 says they need to do more with Raquel. Why bring her back and only get one win? Her booking has sucked, and I really hate that for her. She overcame her syndrome, this horrible skin condition, to be treated like this. And it's not like Raquel is like this horrible wrestler. She's good. She was looking good. She just needed a character to complete the package. But now it's just like she's got nothing. Hopefully, with the separation, they can develop Raquel more, Liv more, Dom more. Travis says, why add all this tension with Dom and Finn when they still haven't gotten done with Damian and Finn? Exactly. The Dom and Finn feud is a lot more interesting than Damian and Finn. See, they messed up. They fucked up, actually, the Finn and Damian feud because they had Damian took take 3 coup de grâces to the back of the head and still had Damian win. That's that super booking that I've been complaining about with his no-selling ass. So they ruined that feud, but then when they start teasing this Dom and Finn feud, this was a lot more interesting. And then they want to drag Damian back into the Finn and Dom feud because Damian is losing his pops. He lost all his face aura. And now they want to latch they want to latch Damian back onto Finn and Dom when Finn and Dom could have had a really nice feud and storyline that could have taken them both up, that could have propelled them out and doing other things. But no, they got anchored down by Damian. This is this Terror Twin booking that Triple H has a hard on for. Just Chilling said, why did Dom went to hug Rhea? That made no sense. Now they're saying Dom cheated on Liv because he was trying to steal the belts and he got caught. And it was just a really poor setup to a riptide. And he said, will they turn on Finn during a street fight? I really hope they do. I think they need to just go on and pull the trigger. Just go on and do it. This hemming and hawing and Finn being a grump just needs to stop. Go on and pull the trigger. Kendall says Liv and Dom do all the heavy lifting, and this is how they get rewarded. There's no other way to put it. Marcus Phoenix says Becky was supposed to return during the match, but that was scrapped for the Undertaker. Is that kind of confirmed somewhere? I wouldn't be surprised that they had to get Rhea over again. Let me see what's on the X real quick. And new women's champion Rhea Ripley says she's past Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day. This ended. How is this going to end when you don't even get Liv a rematch? So Rhea can get all the rematches, but Liv can't get one? I'm not even sure I want Liv to have the rematch, but actually, that would be really fucked up. They said this was gonna. Sherry says this was gonna be the biggest Raw, but it wasn't. No, it was a glorified house show. Eva says Raquel doesn't need to be in it. To be honest, I think Raquel just needs to be booked better. It said honestly, Dom should go to NXT because Sean will book him better. I don't want Dom in NXT. He's already been in NXT, and that means he would have to be down there with Ridge Holland, and I don't want that. Drink says Raquel's booking is a travesty. It really is. Travis says they won't book Dom well until Ray retires. I don't know. I'm just hoping that Triple H gets over himself and gets his stick out his ass to treat people better. I really appreciate you guys for allowing me to rant. Like I said, this is a more of appreciation for Liv and Dom. They should not have been treated like this. They should not have been doing all this extra work just for Rhea to win it, doing nothing. And this Becky thing, if this is just a last minute change because they didn't want to use Becky, then that's still fucked up. I'd probably take a cool break from social media tomorrow. I really don't. I'm glad that I have curated my timeline where I don't have to see a lot of gloating because I don't want to see it. And this is not me just avoiding it. I just don't want to see it. This is more like I don't want to see Dom and Liv talked about horribly when they put in a lot of work for the storyline of feud and not get anything in return from it. That's just me personally. I'd do the same thing if this was anybody else. This was unfair to them. They should be getting rewarded for their work. They should be getting the reward for the views, the eyes, everything that they pulled in. They should be getting rewarded for it, and they haven't. So I can't deal with just be happy your favorite run if it's Rhea, but I'm not going to sit here and deal with talking badly about Dom and Liv when they're the ones that put in the work. Everything else is getting skipped with Rhea. I'm not going to try and talk about Rhea Harley Moore anymore. I don't want to see her interfering with the street fight next week. I want Finn to be kicked out next week. And I don't want to see any hint of Wyatt 6 near the Judgment Day. But it's late. I need to go. I appreciate y'all letting me rant. I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate the likes. Thank you for letting me get off this chest. Thank y'all for letting me make me feel better. I'll be back next week because being a wrestling fan can be torturous. But I'll be back next week. It is what it is. I appreciate y'all. I just saying bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven WWE and on TikTok at WriterMaven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.